saying there was a death in her family, so that's why she's not here. So she just told me that this morning because she was planning on leading the meeting, so that's too bad. So our sympathies to Iola. Yes, yes. So, okay. So let's just, yeah, so I don't know what the, details are, yeah. Yeah, right.
Is on TV too.
Right. So I guess why don't we go to number 6 then, and we have Shelley Rui, who is one of our ADRC staff. She fulfills several different roles at the ADRC, but today she's here to talk to us about her primary role, which is the Disability Benefits Specialist role. So welcome, Shelley.
We've had elder benefit specialists for years, and the state saw that. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to talk loud, but.
Both of them on. You must be having a really soft voice too.
I guess the state saw that, the disability programs are really difficult to navigate for people. It's kind of a web of programs, and they kind of modeled it after the Elder Benefit Specialist Program, which many of you might be familiar with. There's been an EBS in our county for many years. And so I work with people age 17 and a half to age 59. So I help younger people who are transitioning from youth programs as they're becoming an adult at age 18 through the age of 59. And then when they turn 60, then they work with our Elder Benefit Specialist. So I work with people that identify as having some type of disability, and it could be a physical disability, which includes sensory impairments, such as blindness or deafness, intellectual developmental disability, a mental illness, or substance use disorder. When I meet with people, I find out what type of impairment they have and what's keeping them from working, or why they've cut back their hours. So what type of impairment is impeding their ability to work. So a lot of times people work for as long as they can, or sometimes maybe longer than they should, because sometimes they end up causing themselves more physical problems because of the type of conditions that they have. Many people, of course, keep working as long as they can because without it, they don't have any income. So it's really tough. They can't pay their bills. They can't support their families. They're behind on mortgages or rent. So I work with them to see what their goals are. So some people, it might be that maybe they're applying for disability for the first time. So it's to help them through that process, see what information's needed for an application with Social Security, which it's a lengthy process and it's a lot of information, work history, education, medical. So whatever your impairment is, that they want to see medical documentation as to why you're not able to work, what's in your medical record. That's what Social Security is looking for. And then I also work with people who might maybe already have a disability determination, but they're thinking, well, maybe I could work a couple hours a week, but they're not sure how that's going to affect their disability payment or their benefits. So they might call looking for that information also. So when people apply for Social Security disability, Social Security first looks at your income. So if you, in the year 2024, if you're making more than $1,550 a month, you are making what they call substantial gainful activity, and they just automatically will deny that application. Doesn't matter what your disability is, but if you're making more than $1,550 a month, that's just an automatic denial.
You can appeal those denials, correct?
You can, but the ones that are based on income, it's pretty, it's just kind of the rule, yeah.
$1,550 doesn't seem like much to live on.
Not really, no.
Does it matter family size or any of that?
No, sometimes people, maybe the one person, like the person applying doesn't have an income, but maybe the spouse does, so then, and it depends on if it's SSI or Social Security Disability. So if you're applying for Social Security Disability, it's just based on your work quarters. So that doesn't really apply for family size, it's just based on your work history. If it's SSI, then they do look at family size and they look at like your spouse's income too. So if your spouse is making too much money and you don't have the work history, you're probably gonna be denied for SSI also.
And I'm not calculating it in my head, but it seems like that's less than poverty.
I don't know what the poverty rate is off the top of my head, but it's not a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you had $15.50 to pay your rent and buy your groceries and gas in your car and insurance, co-pays for medications, yeah, it doesn't go very far.
Your rent could be $15.50 today.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, the questions you're asking, you know, these are the types of things that Shelley is often dealing with. You know, we have walk-ins every day, so there are people that, you know, sometimes it's just, people are in very dire straits. Sometimes it's people that have, you know, dealing with cancer diagnoses, things like that, and they're months behind with paying things like their mortgage.
Because often people don't come right away because, you know, they're hoping things are going to get better, or maybe they'll get better and they'll be able to go back to work. And, you know, a lot of people are proud and they aren't wanting to come in and ask for help. You know, they're waiting till they're so far behind that then they come, and then I have to tell them that this process, you know, for an initial application, it can take 6 months to a year, and then quite often, not always, but quite often they're denied. So then you have to appeal. If you want to, you can appeal that decision. You know, and that's another at least 6 months, if not a year. It just depends on, they've been really backlogged, so it's taking longer. They've been catching up, it's been going quicker, but for some reason during the pandemic, they got really far behind on disability applications at Social Security. So yeah, when I meet with people, I give them the information that they need to either apply on their own, or so they can call Social Security, they can make an appointment and they can take the application over the phone, or we can do it online. And I've got a folder that I give people that has all the questions and information so they can kind of gather it together. So when they do the application either online or with somebody from Social Security, they have it all right there. When we do the appeal, I can help people file that appeal online and then help them gather the information. And usually what I do is I request the information from Social Security, and I'm able to get all their records and see what they use to determine the disability or the denial. So sometimes we find that they put out a request to all the medical providers. You make a list of the clinics and hospitals wherever they've gone that would have medical information regarding their impairment. And sometimes we find that where they requested the medical information from, it doesn't get sent. So sometimes there's really important medical documentation that's missing from the case. So then I can go ahead and I can request that from whatever medical source it is, and then I can send it to Social Security. So it's things to help with their application and kind of support their claim, so that hopefully they will find in their favor when they look at it a second time.
But just so I totally get it, if it's an income-based and you're at that $15.50, you can appeal all you want, and
I don't think it'll go anywhere because that's
Okay.
just the rule.
it's an income-based program, okay. Yikes.
Yeah. So I guess, I help with the application process, but I also work and try and help with the other needs that they have. So quite often I'm doing medical assistance applications. We do those over the phone so that they have health insurance, food share so that they're able to buy groceries, you know, give them the list of food pantries in our county, energy assistance through Western Dairyland, and the weatherization program is sometimes helpful. So it's just trying to connect them to other community resources that are out there. And I guess I feel very fortunate to work in this program. I like the kind of continued work, you know, for a year or more. A lot of times I'm working with these people, sometimes up to 2 years. So it's kind of nice to have that ongoing contact with people and really getting to know them. And I like helping them navigate through the web of all the programs that are out there that sometimes people don't know about, or they don't have any idea how to even go about getting the help that's there for them. So, do you have any other questions?
Do they get angry?
Sometimes, not usually at me, but they get angry with the system. Yeah.
It's hard to
You
see how
know.
they could get angry with you. You're so calm and quiet, peaceful.
I try to be. But I don't blame them. I mean, it's
either.
frustrating, and you know, they might be eligible for the benefit, but it takes months sometimes to get it. So
I think maybe just making everyone aware that every county has an elder benefit specialist. Some of the larger counties, of course, have
Disability
multiple.
benefit specialists.
Yes, disability, I'm sorry, disability benefit specialists. A lot of, there's training. The state trains, staff for this role. So, I would say you're probably, and then you work with an attorney, correct?
there's a lot of training that goes in. I mean, we have training every month, pretty much, at least for a few hours. And then last week I had a 2-day training, and we all have program attorneys that are through the DRW, which is a Disability Rights Wisconsin program. And they contract with the state to provide the service, the technical assistance to all the DBSs in the state. So when we have any kind of questions, really, looking at ways to strengthen the case, they'll review our records, give us ideas on what maybe we can do. And then also, of course, legal, if there's legal things that we need information on, they provide that support to us also.
Would it be fair to assume that there are some people who do come to you for this benefit process who truly are trying to scam the system? How do you handle that?
I mean, anybody has the right to apply for disability. So, I mean, if they feel that they have a disability, I can assist them with the application, and then that's up to Social Security to see if they can make a determination off the medical records that are available.
Right, so I guess it's not up to you to decide whether or not you just help everybody and then that goes to the state level.
Right.
Sure.
Yep.
That's probably a good thing for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it would really be hard to know without getting all of their records.
Right.
Sometimes you can't tell just by looking at somebody.
For sure.
Shelley, do you have any, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but recollection of even like 2023, how many cases that you worked on? And does the need seem to be growing or is it decreasing? Do you have any feedback on that?
I haven't looked for a while, but I don't know if I had 80 some clients last year, and this is supposed to be a part-time 20-hour-a-week position because I do some other roles too, but I actually think I think I'm ahead of where I was last year when I looked at numbers. So I've got more this year at this point in time than I did last year. So.
I'm still stuck on that 1550. So if they're not eligible for Social Security disability, they could still be eligible for Title 19, for Medicaid, right? And you help them with that? Okay. Because I'm thinking about, a lot of times people need the Social Security disability for the medical piece, but they could be eligible for medical assistance regardless of what that 1550 is. If they,
Depending on,
Okay.
household size and,
because I don't know how anybody could survive with that little amount of money and not health insurance. Okay, you are like my hero today. Helping people in really difficult spots.
And Shelley, you had just celebrated your 29th anniversary with the county, correct?
in February,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, right. And so Shelley has had, numerous roles, but you've worked in the ADRC for, do you remember how long you've been
Since
at
I've
the
been on the board.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I was here when it started, when we wrote the grant to start the ADRC. So,
Yeah.
You go back to Stacy Garlick time.
yeah. Yeah, she's actually
So,
hired me.
you know, it is so helpful because she knows so much about the resources and knows so much about our different programs and services. So, which just really does allow her to help, like what you're saying, some folks that come in, they're not going to be approved, or it may take months and months. That's why it's so important that Shelley's able to connect them to other resources.
So this means, Shelley, you can't retire.
Yeah, right. She knows that.
And if you're thinking about it, you need to find somebody to pass on all this vast knowledge.
You don't look like you're retirement age, so that's good. Oh, man. I just love the ADRC. I always brag about you guys all the time.
It's a good place to work, yeah.
Thank you.
We're
Yeah.
lucky. We count our blessings today.
There's a lot of things going on at the ADRC right now with all this stuff. So, yeah. Especially as food prices goes up.
Yeah.
And you and they need food. We need food. We need to eat.
Right.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions for Shelley?
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Well, why don't we move on to number 7 on the agenda? I was not at the last meeting. Jay was here, and I heard that the aging plan. And what I did hear is that you all had asked about our 2022 to 2024 aging plan. So that is what I plan to do, is just to review the progress that we had made over the last 3 years. Does that sound? That's what he told me. That, okay. Thanks, Shelley.
Was it at the Human Services Committee? Or maybe it was you who asked about outcomes. I did.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that is great, and we always want to review outcomes. And we work so hard on developing the plan, and so yeah, I think that's great. So that's what I'm planning to do right now. So because we were just at the very end, and actually in September we did have the opportunity to meet with the state and reviewed our outcomes. What I will say is, this is a quote from Guar when we met. She sent us the plan, then the final plan, and she did say, truly impressive work. So I was very proud of that. So, but what I just am going to do right now is just to kind of go through just what the goals were and the progress with those. So regarding nutrition, and that's one of the areas that we had to have a goal for. For the 2022-2024 plan, the goal was that our residents would have equitable access to senior dining. I will say that when I started shortly after, I started in 2021. And so when I started, we were already to have began this process. So I kind of came in the end stages, but we hadn't started the plan, is what I'm trying to say. And but at that time, it was very different because we were just still in COVID. So some of the things that we had been doing had changed, and some of the things that we had been doing had completely ceased because we had to halt operations. But so I just want you to keep that in mind, is that this was during COVID. So to begin, when I started, we had 2 senior meal sites, one in Blair and one in Galesville, that were operating 5 days a week. Okay. And so we, as a council and as a board at that time, we wanted to make access to senior dining more equitable because it was just really lopsided to the southern part of the county. So we have accomplished a significantly more equitable dining program at this point, and I would just say it's I think probably pretty close to what like, I feel pretty good about what it is. So we had reduced, what we have done, the current plan is we've reduced Blair to 1 day. We've reduced Galesville to 2 days. But then we've created a site in Arcadia that's currently 2 days. We've created a site in Strum that's 2 days. And we created a site in Whitehall that's 1 day. We've also had pop-ups, and when we say pop-ups, what that means is it's like one event, like 1 day that is, we are offering dining. And we've done that in Osseo, we've done that in Arcadia, Pigeon Falls, and Independence. So when we look at the data of where is dining occurring, it is really significantly much more equitable than it had been.
Quick question about
yeah.
dining. Since the Rainbow, which was one of our hot spots, has reopened under a new, will you be looking at that?
That is all up to you all and the Human Services Board. And so right now, our current contracts are through 2025.
Okay.
It was a two-year contract. So probably 9 months from now, we will already be having discussions about, are we good with what's currently happening?
Okay.
So that's really like some strategizing that's going to need to happen.
I mean, I just think about what a hot spot that was for senior dining when I drive by there and see that it's open again. And
Yeah, they're fixing it.
I think, the way that I've looked at it, we can kind of create whatever we want
Okay.
to have happen. I feel like there are people in this county that want to, that this is a priority for, and we have not, although it hasn't been easy, this has taken a lot of work to get to where we are
Right,
today.
right,
I'm going to
right.
be honest, because it would be much easier. That 2 sites running 5 days a week is a lot easier than this. But that
better
was
for
our
the
goal.
community.
That was
Right.
our goal, equitable.
did it.
And we can't afford, that's the thing. We have a budget. It would be great if every community in our county, we could do 5 days a week, but we don't have the funds to do that. So stay tuned, and you all are going to be part of those discussions.
Just think about the 3 new sites that you've created, which is excellent. But I think I understood you to say that each of those operate 1 or 2 days a week. Even increasing the days of operation for those existing businesses could be good. Because I guess what I'm thinking about, like, this isn't a huge improvement, so I don't mean this negatively.
Yeah,
but
no.
when I think about the site in the northern part of the county, if they're only available 1 or 2 days a week, that isn't equitable to 5 days a week in the southern part of the county where Galesville is, right? But I mean, we've made great progress. But is there a way that we could make that more days a week potentially?
And I think it truly all comes down to money.
Right.
So, like, in order to make that happen, it would involve having more county levy that is being put towards senior meals. So if that's a priority for our board and for our county residents, that can happen. But right now, there's not enough funds from the state in order to increase.
And that was my question. Is the
Yeah.
state funded then? Or so then
The
what you're
majority
s-
is state funded.
what you're saying is we've maximized the state funding. So any
Correct.
additional would be levy dollars. Okay.
And we do have a reserve.
right
But yeah, like, we know what that's like too. Yeah.
there, and when we had the site in Whitehall, I mean, we had to do a little adjusting with. They got 1 day, somebody else only got 1 day. I mean, you just
Yeah, it truly is. There's not that many more days.
Right.
But it's like Blair, right? It went from 5 to 1. Galesville from 5 to 2. And we still have Pine Creek. That we don't want to forget about that. But that is the one site where the people, those are staff, those are county employees that make the food there.
right.
They buy the groceries, they make the food. So, yeah. Any other discussion about that
No,
piece
that's
in
good.
particular? Okay. Health promotion. So that is another area. And the goal is to prevent or delay chronic conditions and promote healthy aging among older adults by increasing access to evidence-based health promotion offerings. And so when we created this plan in 2022, there were 0 health promotion programs that were happening, and there were 0 trained instructors to do those programs. In 2024, we had 5 different programs that were offered. So we have currently Strong Bodies classes that are happening, Stand Up for Your Health, Walk with Ease, Bingo Size, and Eat Smart, Move More, Weigh Less. So the 5 evidence-based programs that are currently, that have taken place in 2024. So I would say that is, there are very few counties, especially ones our size, that are able to offer that many programs. So very proud of that.
Well, and in conjunction with Western Dairyland, you got maybe you are going to talk about that.
I was just gonna
Okay,
say, and then
'cause I mean, that's a big darn
and
deal.
that's the other piece of this that very proud of, is that the Livable Communities grant from Wisconsin Department of Human Services that we received in order to do the fitness center in Whitehall.
For
So that's
free.
part of that. Yeah, for free.
When does that open?
The equipment's been ordered.
Okay,
So
soon.
4 weeks, maybe? Soon.
We can go to the gym after our meetings.
Yes.
Is that in high school?
In high school, yep. So another area of, again, the state tells us what areas that we need to create goals for. Caregiving is another goal. Goal to have caregivers have access to additional supports. So we have focused on caregiving supports in our newsletter. We've made significant additions to our caregiving lending library. And the largest support, we had our big Wine, Women, and Dementia event that was really geared towards caregivers that was held last week. So that was the caregiving support goal. The last goal has to do with transportation. And so the goal is to ensure that older adults within our community have the transportation services needed to meet their daily needs. So really, 3 years ago, our local and bus transportation, it was pretty much not happening, mainly because of COVID. We were taking people to essential services, such as medical appointments in our county, but
And shopping.
shopping. We weren't, just because of COVID, there was pretty much just essential services. What we've done in the last 3 years is we've really focused on our local bus and we have really placed emphasis on recruiting drivers. We were able to increase the wage for our drivers, which has helped significantly. We just we had one driver. So within the last year, we've been able to hire several drivers, several home delivered meal drivers, which has just helped that we have more people available to provide the transportation. And I would say at this point, as far as local transportation, we really have no unmet needs. So if a person were to call and need a ride next week to a medical appointment in our county, I feel confident that we would be able to meet that need. So that's a great thing. Unfortunately, as you know, we no longer are doing our volunteer transportation program. So, but there is good news. Western Dairyland is they have received a grant and are going to operate a program for out-of-county transportation. So that's good. And also, as far as transportation, we are now doing weekly trips to either Eau Claire or La Crosse on our bus, which those are very popular. Often those are full And we're also doing those fun day travels. So every month there is a trip that takes place where seniors have an opportunity to get out and do things like, I know this month, I believe, or last month, it was a trip to Eckers and then they went to El Morro. So we try to focus on local events or local destinations, but sometimes we do go out to Eau Claire or La Crosse or further out. So that is our 2022-2024 aging plan. You did good. I think we did good.
Yeah,
So you
thanks for
think
sharing
about
that.
it, again, coming back from COVID, there was very little that was taking place, which isn't unusual for a lot of counties where,
You have to, COVID is coming back.
yeah, there are people, you hear every day, people that have COVID.
Very careful.
Okay, so I think now number 8 is a nutrition council update, and we're gonna have Colleen give an update.
Well, okay. That was only my second nutrition meeting, and as with these meetings, they're very educational and uplifting, and it's amazing how much this county offers for everybody. It's too bad that maybe more people don't take advantage of it. But you do what you can for awareness and advertise and go from there. So anyway, we discussed events that were planned for now the remainder of the year. I guess they're working on a trip to Irvine Park to see the Christmas lights and the Rotary lights in La Crosse, and possibly something else that would come up. There was the fall nutrition staff training that's coming up now in October in Eau Claire for several counties. Sammy had sent it out to those of us who deliver home-delivered meals. It's a training for those staff, I think, and the people that pick up the meals and deliver them to the sites where we pick them up. And that's going to be held in Eau Claire. Johnny's Steakhouse is supplying that luncheon, so it should be good. They were talking about possibly having at some of the locations closer to Thanksgiving time that Thanksgiving-themed dinner would be served for people going to those dining sites. Also talking about a food drive to be held at the dining sites where people coming in to have a dinner, if they wanted to, could contribute a non-perishable item, and then those items would be dispersed to the local food pantries in the area where you're dining. So if you dined in Blair and you brought a food item, those things would stay in the Blair community. If you went to Strum, likewise. So I thought, that gives those people an opportunity to give back and feel to be a part of the community. I had never been to the Wanek Center, and that's where our meeting was held. It's a beautiful facility, but it was sad to hear that their numbers are so low there. And I know they're asking the people that go and trying to find out what they can do differently to increase those numbers. I personally think one drawback is the way the food is served. You do have to go through a line, pick up your meal, and then go to a separate room and dine, which is fine. But some people, if they have a disability or, it's just a struggle of carrying your own plate to the table. So that might be the issue, but Sammy said they were, taking questions and asking people to get feedback as to how they can improve that. And maybe if the menu can be changed somewhat, I guess some people had expressed that some of the foods served were not what they're accustomed to. And it's done by some pub in Arcadia, but I don't remember the name of it. Okay, the Ashley Pub. So, and I don't know what those meals prior had been. When we were there last week, it was shrimp Alfredo and a salad and garlic bread. It was very tasty, but I don't know what was prior, so it's maybe just things that people aren't familiar with. And comment was made that it's maybe a spin-off, like when the Latino dinner was served, that people just aren't familiar with different foods, and so there's a learning curve there, but they are working on it, so that's a good thing, because it would be a shame that that center couldn't be utilized. And you would think with the location that there would be more people, but
Just prior to this meeting was the Parks Tourism, and Dave, who is sitting next to me, does a thing, he started a thing called Friday Foodie, or Foodie Friday, or whatever. And his first stop was at the Wanik Center. And I told him that maybe you could touch base with him about what I talked to him about at the meeting, is to bring the senior meal dining into the tourism world. And that might be a way to engage, because I said all the restaurants that you go to are dining sites by and large. So he said, yeah, that's a good idea. And the committee agreed that, there could be some cooperation between how he can do the, senior dining Tuesday instead of foodie Friday.
Yeah, that would be-
something like along that line.
I like that.
Because our Facebook page, his tourism page, gets a lot of hits and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people look at it, just like your page. But it's just one more avenue
Right,
that people
yeah.
don't always think about.
Yeah, I think his is great. I like it, but I like that idea. I
Yeah.
think we could,
yeah,
I think that's a really good idea.
good.
The baby doesn't think it's very.
The next thing we talked about were the cultural dinners that were held this past year with great reviews. Sounded like people enjoyed it. Again, the Arcadia one with the Latino, even though there were, I think, 36 people, but some thought, oh, it's Mexican food, it's going to be hot and spicy. There again, it's just the education and just keep on exposing, I guess, and word of mouth. Maybe we'll get people to try it and move forward.
I would try lutefisk. Maybe.
Maybe. The Wine, Women, and Dementia event, I guess, was a tremendous hit, like 185 people. Yes.
185 people?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
oh, that is
Yeah.
so wonderful. Because I saw the picture and I was trying to figure out how many people were there.
I don't
had
know how
a-
many dined,
We had
but
185 diners.
diners,
Wow.
okay, wow.
And then with the people that just came for the film, we had well over 200 people.
Yeah. Oh
my gosh.
So our takeaway, I mean, it's a different level of, planning for the next event, because it really was like, I
It was
think,
great.
too many people though, almost, right?
You almost
Like,
have to
we
cut it
almost
off,
have to,
but, yeah.
cut off or look at other spaces,
Yep.
because it was, you don't want to cut off,
No.
because
Then you
all those
discourage.
people were there for a reason.
Right.
They wanted to learn about caregiving and dementia, and they wanted to, meet with their friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like maybe too many people for that
Yeah.
space. But it was beautiful. It was
it
a
was.
wonderful event. Yeah.
And then besides the 185, excuse me, I guess there were 63 new diners aged
Oh,
60
wow.
and above that
Wow.
had never been to a senior dining event. So that was good. So maybe those 63 people are now exposed to the service and the offerings, and maybe these people will then get out into the other dining sites and increase the numbers, so.
And I learned something new, because I had not heard that. So
Oh,
that's great
yeah.
to know. Because
Yeah.
again, the whole idea of that is we touched 63 people
Right.
that some of them may not have had any connection with ADRC and our programs and services in the
Correct.
past, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that number is accurate, though, because I hadn't been, my sister hadn't been to senior dining in Arcadia for over a year, so, and I haven't either, because It doesn't ever fit my schedule. So we had to fill out a new form. So that
okay.
number might be
So
a
it
little
may
bit
be,
off.
it
off
may
by
be
some,
some that
but
haven't,
still.
yeah, dined in more than a year, maybe.
Right, right,
Yeah,
'cause I know
okay,
they, yeah.
okay.
But still, the numbers are up.
Yes.
The one thing that Sammy must have, and maybe you, Melissa, with talking to people after, is they would like a repeat, but maybe a repeat on a different level where there was more benefits that are available for people. I shouldn't say benefits, resources of where people can go to find a respite caregiver, do's and don'ts on how to approach these people with dementia so you don't aggravate the situation you're in. The one thing that I thought was so funny on the film, and I forget which person was speaking, but she was speaking, I believe, to her mother, and, you know, the mom was kind of obstinate and cranky and crabby, and the daughter got up, went into a different room, put on a different change of clothes, came back into the room, and I don't remember the name, but, Mary, when did you get here? It's so good to see you. And it's like something so simple as to just change their mindset that can change and improve the situation you're in. You know, if they're getting combative or angry, and how something so simple as just walk away for a minute, put on something different, and come back into the room. So I think people were looking for more hands-on, how to, what should I do in this case, how do you handle this type thing for a future meeting.
My friend, when I approached her, she and her sister about this, her sister, who has some dementia issues, was so excited about coming, and they were going to come. And then she had sent me a text a few days before. She said that the time does not work because it's too late in the evening. If it could be moved earlier in the
Earlier,
day,
yep.
because the sister starts having, you know, I don't know if the term, the sundowner.
Sundowners, yep.
syndrome. So that would be my suggestion, to have it like noonish, and maybe not so many people again.
Yeah.
But also Barb Picca, who is a very good resource. She spoke, you know, like a year or two ago at when we first had the Dementia 101 in Arcadia at the Wanek Center.
Yep.
I mean, she's been dealing with her husband for a long time, and she would be a great local resource with ideas, you know, like you have to put the locks on your door.
Yep.
You have to do this, do that. And she gave us, which I wrote down on the napkin, a couple of resources, videos that me as a caregiver can go and look at. I have this issue, like, how do I deal with this? There's a video on it. So to bring in some more like practical ideas and do it, you know, earlier in the day.
Yeah, and so part of our next aging plan, and I think Jay reviewed that with you, but that the goal is that we will offer more frequent trainings. And so, yeah, I think that absolutely is like our goal then, is to provide different kinds of like more hands-on, absolutely. This one, you know, the goal of this was, you know, the message really to me was you are not alone.
Right.
And keep the humor, and your loved one is still there. It was very much have hope. And also the ADRC has specialists. We have resources. And so contact the ADRC if at any point, if you are wanting more like one-on-one, that's what we do, is we meet with people and provide resources and information. We don't have a dementia care specialist right now, but we're hiring. We did do interviews last week, so that's yes.
Perfect.
Yes, so, and once we have that dementia care specialist, like that's gonna give us a whole nother tool in our toolbox, right? But I think it's, like what the other takeaway was, people are wanting this, right? And so we just need to continue, and certain people, I think, were very happy with what the message was, and for people that, but yes, it didn't meet what everybody wanted. And, somebody gave me a letter. I got a letter in the mail yesterday, and they were saying, I wish we would have gotten very specific information about advanced directives, right? But that's not what this was. But we provided that at every meal site, a lot of meal sites, 2 times. We had speakers, like our community health worker went to meal sites twice, many of them, and that's all she did. It was a session about advanced directives. But that's just telling me then that we just need to continue this, right? We need to just continue providing opportunities.
It's so hard. There's so many resources out there that so many people don't know about.
That's the
thing,
the issue.
I mean, because the Gunderson Health System does, the advanced directives anytime for free, so there's lots of.
Asking me about my brain, if this question, it's questioned quite well, thank you, lady.
People don't like to do, I get the advanced directive paperwork every time I have a yearly physical, and it sits somewhere. I have yet to fill it out. And actually, the last nurse I saw, she said, well, I haven't filled mine out either, so don't feel bad. But people want to know about it. We just don't want to do it. That's the piece.
We're trying really hard to make it simpler, make the process a little less painful. I'm speaking from the Gunderson Health System perspective at that, when I talk about we, but you really need to fill yours out. If
I
you
know.
don't have one.
I know.
Going
I don't
through
have a
the
will. That's the other thing. That's a horrible thing
Going through
that
the
haunts me at night.
court process, though, to assign a guardian if
Right.
you're not able to make decisions is very taxing on the family and the health system.
Well, I've told Dana I wanted her to.
Yeah.
I've told Dana I want her to be my guardian when I lose it. So she knows that. Oh, there's are you familiar with Ron Potter Efron? I'm throwing his name out here. He was a therapist in Eau Claire for many years with his wife, Pat, who had Lewy body. And she passed away a couple years ago. But he does a lot of stuff in Eau Claire, and I tell him he lives in Trempealeau County now. He lived right next door to Mark.
Oh, okay.
He needs to bring because he does workshops for caregivers. He does a lot of training. You go on the website. He has a Lewy body.
I've heard of him. Yeah,
Yeah, look
okay.
him up. He's
Yeah.
so good, but he's still focused on Eau Claire. Maybe he's listening today. He needs to share with us in Trempealeau County.
But yeah, so I look forward to that. And if any of you have suggestions, about when you're getting feedback from people, I mean, I love to hear that, of what you're saying, more hands-on. And I've heard that feedback too after this event. So,
Good.
yeah.
Maybe we could do a group thing and have people come together to fill out their advanced directives so it's not so scary.
But that is what we did.
Oh, it
Our
is?
community health worker did that. She was available.
So we
did
could
any of
all
you?
sit down and do it?
Yeah, she did the education on it, and she would she had the forms and would get, you could sign them in her presence. Yeah. Colleen, did you have any other
Just a
updates?
couple.
Okay. You guys
Sorry.
are busy. Yeah, it's a really good information.
We're not having a quorum. We're doing good.
Yeah. Then she just shared the number of meals served in the month of August. Congregate meals were 812, home delivered were 676, and then others, and I don't remember what the others were. But anyway, for the month of August, 1,852 meals were served in Trempealeau County, so that's pretty awesome. They briefly talked about the fitness center here in Whitehall coming open. the equipment's order, there's going to be a photo release, and that it'll be, you know, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and be shared with the wrestling team from Whitehall High School. All 135 senior farmers market vouchers were distributed this past summer, so that's good.
I think it's 235.
Oh, 235. Oh, okay. And I think that maybe WIC can track how many were actually used, but we didn't have that information. But it's just nice to know that people were willing to take them and hopefully use them. Another thing I didn't know, that the department has to do site visits monthly, and she did them in July, meaning go to the meal sites to, you know, get feedback. How is it working? What's working? What's not working? How can we improve? In-home assessments also need to be done yearly, and I believe she said there was 98 in Trempealeau County that staff has to go and just, you know, just interview the people, just a light interview, see how they're doing, if they maybe need other resources. The site passports, those were the cards like that you got stamped at each site. It was just recommended that if that's done again next year, to start it earlier in the year. Just, you know, because people are more out and about, I think, when the weather's nice, and so that was mentioned. Yeah, just start a little bit earlier. And then we're talking about Christmas parades that are going to be coming up soon in the local communities. Should ADRC make some sort of a presence in your local parades? But how to do that, what to do. So anyway, everybody's trying to brainstorm as to how you can do that. You know, do you just, I don't know, hand out a newsletter or information on the meal sites or something, just to help it be more aware to the community in which you live, to bring it, you know, give them more information. So that's about it.
Yes. Thank you for all that information. You guys have been busy.
Thanks.
I really like that. And you're still meeting in different meal sites, right? Where are you meeting next time? Do you know?
Right here, Cafe 60
Okay.
in November. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, supervisor report. I had on here the Wine Women Dementia. We've already talked about that. The 8521 grant, I just kind of wanted people to be aware that that is a grant that, they call it a grant, but every county is eligible for, the state determines how much each state or each county may receive. And so the deadline for that is December 13th. At this point, what we have done for several years is we've used those funds to fund our local transportation and our busing. So at this point, that is what I'm planning on. But just stay tuned for more information about that. The county is required to do a 20% match. I'm just going to say off the top of my head, we receive about $90,000 from the state to operate that. And again, that's used to pay for, you know, everything from the wages of our drivers to fuel to support staff that also are, you know, doing the scheduling of the rides. But so every county is given an amount, and that's what we have historically used those funds for. But that's what's planned for. That's what I'm planning. Does anybody have any questions? Again, you'll hear more about that probably in December then. But okay. One other thing, I think I just have one other update that I want to make. So this is brand new news, but we have learned that the ADRC is going to be moving to the courthouse. So by the end of November. So, yeah. So, if you think back, the original plan was that area that is currently the extension area and that land management, that was going to be remodeled and we were going to be moved into that space. So that was probably, I think it was tentatively, they were hoping to have that project completed, I think April of this year. And so that, of course, has not happened. But there's just a lot of, like just challenges that the ADRC has being in a separate space.
Easy accessibility as well. There's only one door to this building now,
Right?
and
That's the area that everybody
closest.
came through.
Is that where you're gonna be?
No, no.
I'm jumping the gun here.
Yeah. So, part of it also is we are spending nearly $30,000 a year to operate out of that ADRC. So, mainly for the rent and heat, all the utilities, we pay internet. So it is nearly $30,000. So, that certainly is one of the main factors too of just looking at budgets. Can we make the existing space here work temporarily until they're able to renovate this existing space for us? So what we will be doing is that family and children's unit that is in the Department of Human Services, they are going to be moving to the sheriff's area, the old sheriff's area in that part of the building, which was, like where all those offices were, the sheriff's offices.
That little middle where you go down.
By the clerk.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, yeah, that is correct. And so that's where those family and children staff are gonna be moving to that area. ADRC staff will be then occupying that family and children space that, again, it'll allow our clients to be in the closest area that they can be to the front door. So the benefits will be many. I will love to be able to work closer to, my supervisor, our director for human services, our, assistant director, our administrative staff that is all here. It'll be really nice not to have to walk over here all the way around multiple times a day to get our mail. And the building is not perfect over there. Things like the heating, having to go in the basement and having to restart that and check to make sure it's working every day, those types of things. And just the strain on maintenance as well, having to clean and having to shovel, all of those kinds of things. So we will all have our own offices in this area. So that's very good because we do meet a lot with clients in our space. So and then the plan will be once they are able to renovate that existing space, then that extension, like the plan is going to be the remodel is still going to happen at some point and that we will move over to that space. So we have work to do, but I think it's like the benefits are going to outweigh the costs. And again, the $30,000 nearly a year, I don't think, like that's, I think, significant. What, work in progress. Yeah. So you can imagine some of our staff that have been in that building for 7 years. It's a comfortable space. Yeah, we've been there almost 7 years. And so it's comfortable for a lot of staff. It's going to be a transition. So doing what I can just to provide reassurance and support that everything's going to be okay and trying to really think about what kind of barriers might there be, what may be difficult for us in this space and doing all we can to make it as good as it can be. Yeah. But I'm excited. I am truly excited. Yeah. I know. At least it's not far. Yeah. So it's
This is across the street.
just across the street. And maintenance, they've secured, another great thing is there is a lot of storage. We have access to storage, and I met with Jeremy from maintenance last week, and we'll have a whole area in the jail, the old jail, that we'll be able to keep like our equipment. And so that'll be nice too. We'll have an elevator to bring it up and down, which now we're lugging things from the basement up, and so this will be nice. Yeah, because it's delivered, everything's delivered here, and then they have to bring it over and bring it in the basement. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits. In that building historically, yes, because it was a daycare, it was a bank, I think it was a lawyer's office.
Office for the lawyers and
Yep. Yeah.
I used to clean there, so I know.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Micah hired me to clean, so I clean.
Okay.
And that, but yeah, it was a lawyer's office and a daycare and
Yeah.
now the
It's nice, but
Who knows what it'll be in the future now
yeah,
then?
right.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
It'll just
that'll be good.
It'll be good.
We did a lot today. You did a lot today. Thank you.
Yeah. I will just mention, Betty Vold had let me know yesterday that she is no longer able to fulfill her role. So that does mean that we need to start thinking about a replacement for Betty. So Osseo. Right? I was gonna say, I'm not sure if it's Osseo or Osseo or Strum.
So if we're looking for more community members, do we typically try to get from, I would think, probably various areas within
Yes,
the
yes,
county?
we want to have as much representation as.
She just represents 65 and older, or?
She represented physical disability category. So, and so, I was here, I'm talking more, and you probably are ready to leave, but I had been at a meeting with the state, I think that was this spring, and one of the topics that we talked about was councils. And, we've talked about even the group of you, the onboarding for our council members really could be improved upon, right? But what they had mentioned is, we should always be trying to recruit new members. And so even if they're not a member right now, you should have people that are attending your meetings and getting to know what the ADRC does, right? And to find out if it's a good fit. So I would, I guess, just encourage all of you to be thinking about who might be a good fit. And looking at the list, I think there are at least one other person now on the list that has not been here for quite a few meetings. It looks like probably 2 people. So I would just say we probably are going to be needing to recruit several more people. So certainly encourage them to come to the next meeting. You can give me their name and I can talk with them about the ADRC. I'd be happy to meet with them. So it's does that all make sense?
I'm thinking right now, people in the Osseo Strum area.
So I guess for me, it would be helpful to know where we have representation from and where we're lacking.
I can email that out to
That would be
everybody
helpful.
so that you know. It does seem like right now there's not a lot of representation in the southern part of the county. Is there anybody from Galesville or Trempealeau? I don't.
There used to be, but now it's
Right, there used to be, but right now I don't think there is. So,
Touch base with Dave Carlson. He's in that Trempealeau, Galesville area and knows a lot of,
people.
he's getting old too, so.
Hope he's watching this.
I know, I've been kind of casual today,
Yeah,
but
Jeannie's saying, yeah, you're getting kind of old.
I
I'm getting kind of old, yeah.
Well, being fairly new to this, I really don't know everybody or where they're from, so if you could let us know the names and their location, that would be great.
Yeah, I have, of course, yeah,
And then I just had one other thing I was going to mention, because we're at the open comments. I volunteer at Feed My People in Fairchild once a month, and of course, that's Eau Claire County, so I have access to their newsletters. And I know you touched on it about power of attorney, and in September, they had an agenda held at one of the nursing homes in Eau Claire, Dove West, going over that kind of stuff. So, and I know you said you've had it in the past, but maybe that's another event that needs to be on the agenda again for next year.
And the aging plan actually says that we're going to do spring quarterly. So I think that's great that, and there are other counties, they do such terrific things too. So we should be like, I love that you're looking and seeing what other counties are doing. A lot of great ideas.
If you have it, are we still on air? Well, I mean, this can be on air, but getting along with the advanced directives thing, if that was held at the senior dining sites, and there aren't, like in Arcadia, not very many people there, you're not targeting a very large audience. So maybe you do like a wine, women, and advanced directives.
Yeah.
Oh, and I mean, the Opera House was a great facility. Even with so many people, it still worked out well. And it's kind of centrally located, or even at the Wannick Center. But
Right.
I know a lot of people from the north don't want to come all the way to Arcadia.
That's
A
what
lot
we
of people from the
find,
south
yeah.
don't want to come
Yeah.
there either. But something like that, give it a catchy name and offer it,
Yeah.
With
like,
something else.
yeah, instead of at the meal site when hardly anybody is coming.
I
And
just
I'm
say-
guilty. I keep saying I'm going, and I wanted to be at the shrimp Alfredo thing, even though I don't like shrimp, but I would eat it anyway. But then you have to call, the day ahead of time, and then there was something else that comes up,
And that has been like historically, well, I guess in the last 3 years, we have tried to do most of our offerings either before or after meals. And we've had great success with that. The model was the pop-up model, so we're doing a brand new, what that is it's like a one-time event with the senior dining and the wine, women, dementia. But I really like that idea of just having the educational opportunity before or after a meal. And we've tried to move it around, like with that advanced directives this year, like I said, I think we were at every meal site and offered it either before or after. Typically it works best, and I think around the state people will say this, that it works best to do it after the meal. Because people forget a lot, that's part of it, but if they eat, most people will stay for what you're gonna have.
Maybe you could do a special thing with the TV station to have somebody come and interview people while they're doing at lunch. Nancy could bring the camera and come to a meal site and.
I just encourage cooperation with any of the area's healthcare facilities. They're doing a lot with this too. And, partnering.
Especially with the advanced directives.
Exactly.
That would be ideal because we aren't able to sign we're not able to witness as a county, like our corporate council doesn't allow us to witness advanced directives.
Sure.
But you all could, I believe you still can.
Like witness each other's?
Right, like the social workers at the hospital, that's
Yeah,
typically
there's
something they do.
Oh, okay.
quite a bit of regulations surrounding, some of those things. And there was a bill out there too that was geared towards changing us to a next of kin state here in Wisconsin. But that got squashed. I think it will hopefully come back up. But what that would mean, of course, is that you wouldn't necessarily have to have an advance directive for somebody else to become a decision maker for you if you can't do it yourself. But currently, we are not that. So 100% of the time, if you don't have these documents on file, you're going to court. And that's not a good process. So.
Okay, I'm gonna fill that paperwork out when I get home today. After I talk to Adam.
Yeah, I would, it's always better if you can partner with people, right? So that would be a really good one to partner, so I can get in contact with Tony and, the other
Yeah,
workers.
and even you and I can connect a little bit because I'm currently working on a project team that's specifically working on this.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that would be great.
Must be.
That's what I'm hearing, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for your support and for coming. I think this is the first time we have not had a quorum, and that's in 3 years.
We got a lot to do next for an hour and 40
Yeah, yeah.
And next meeting is in December.
The next meeting's in December.